Good afternoon, my crypto trading partners. All right, I'm just going to do a quick recap of the week on the crypto market, and we'll close this video out pretty quickly because nothing much has changed except for one thing, and we'll go over that. And I want to show you what to watch for over the weekend and how to trade if you're so inclined to do so. Many people are not. So I have this triangle drawn. Really, the only thing that has changed over the course of the week here, guys, is I have extended this triangle out because pretty much all we've been doing is trading in a range between basically 29,000 and 39,000. All right, and this has allowed me to expand this triangle out. I've got it out as far as I can go at this point, and you can see right now that Bitcoin is attempting to confirm a move to the downside of this triangle. And what this means, guys, if I zoom out here to the daily, is I believe this is our target down for this head and shoulders pattern. This is an ascending maroon trend line, which I started drawing way back in March of 2020 at our low Bitcoin 3000. All right, we have not gone to the bottom side of this ascending maroon trend line since I started drawing it. So we're not, and I can say this fairly confidently, guys, because this is the significance of these trend lines. You got to draw them on your charts. Just like this black trend line up here, which we hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Finally, the seventh time it collapsed. That is this maroon ascending trend line is even more significant than the black trend line, because the black trend line, if I zoomed out here, you can see we crossed over it, back and forth over it several times. All right, I started drawing this way back in May of 2019. Well, actually, maybe I didn't start drawing it then, but we touched up against it. The 200-day at least did, and then bounced off of it, and the move was very significant. Then when we collapsed below it, the move was also very significant. Came down to our maroon trend line, which I'm speaking of right now, that we will come down and touch again. And then we bounced up and broke above this black trend line again, and it was very significant, the move up, and then touched it again. So the black trend line was significant. However, previously we had broken through it, both to the downside and the upside. The maroon trend line we have never broken through to the downside. And the reason I bring that up, guys, is because I think over the course of the weekend, that is exactly where we're headed. We're headed to this maroon trend line. This is the 4-hour chart right now that I'm zoomed into, and this is a second candle moving below our triangle. All right, so in 1 hour and 35 minutes, we will confirm a break below this triangle, which means we're moving down further. If you are an aggressive trader and you want to trade this, then you would want to go short, and depending upon your risk tolerance, you could leverage that, I guess. Or you could just stick to your stable coin if you trust the stable coin. Maybe that's more risky, sticking your money in stable coin. I don't know at this point, guys. But at this point, what it looks like is we're going to come down and touch the top side of that maroon ascending trend line right around 26,500, 27,000. That's where you would exit and take your profits on those short trades. You could then enter and go long at that point, because I expect a bounce at least up to the 29,000 range, right? And then you could take your profits there again. All right, we may try to sink lower than that ascending trend line, but I can almost guarantee we're not going to do it first time around. All right, that ascending maroon trend line is just too strong. And you can see we touched it back here, right here. All right, this candle hit it, and look how hard the bounce was. All right, we came way down, touched it, broke below, and came back up above it. It's way too strong. So this is our second time. I still expect a bounce here on the second try, guys. So that's the way I would trade if I was trading this time. For me personally, I'm just going to stick with the stable coins for the weekend and just let this alone. But I know some of you are looking for trade entries. That's the way I would trade it. I would go short till you came down here and then enter long. And depending on how aggressive you are, you could leverage that. Okay, so the market movers definitely are at work here, guys, because Bitcoin is down 3% as I speak. But what's NASDAQ doing, which Bitcoin follows most closely? NASDAQ is up 2.2%. And I said before, guys, the markets before these holidays, they almost always, here in the U.S., they almost always close up. People like to feel good. Sentiment is good. People are, excited for the weekend. And with the markets closing up, it leaves a good feeling in everybody's, minds that the wallet is looking a little bit better. They spend over the holidays. And that's just typical psychology here in the U.S. So the market movers always like to take these things up just before the close, last day before a holiday weekend. And that's exactly what's happening. Doesn't surprise me in the least. What surprises me is the disparity between Bitcoin and the NASDAQ. That means something else is at play here. I don't know who's selling this down, but it's somebody with very big wallets, maybe unlimited wallets. Could be a nation state hiring out big bank or something. Somebody is trying to take Bitcoin and the crypto markets down even further than what a normal scare like Luna UST would do. If that wasn't enough, and you can see these big candles here. Every time you see these big candles, that was big money stepping in and selling off, guys. And I'm not going to get into the details of that in this video, but here again, these are big wallets selling this off. All right, and when it gets to the price that I don't know what the goal is or where they're attempting to go, but honestly, this is psychologically, this is very strong. I have a lot of faith in this area for at least a bounce. And so that's what I would be looking at, and that's how I would trade this thing. Enough said about that. Let me jump over to some of these other charts. We'll look at the dollar real quick. We'll look at the VIX. And then I'm going to close this out for the weekend. Okay, the dollar's basically not really doing much at all right now, but it is on its way down, which is a good thing. And we can even draw a trend line here, it looks like. And what I'm hoping is that we come all the way back down to the top of this bull flag, purple line. That would be very good for the markets for at least a short-term bounce. But we got to get through this 50-day and the 100-day moving average first. All right. Either way, with the dollar being down, another good thing is this VIX is down. All right. So you can see we are in somewhat of a bull flag here. All right. So we got to watch for that because that indicates this could break to the upside. I don't want to see that. But it's also possible. We've seen these patterns go opposite as well. It doesn't mean we will break to the upside. These things are just probability scenarios. The VIX could break to the downside. And if it goes to the downside, as well as the dollar descending, that would be very good for the markets. So we need to watch this closely, especially the VIX. The VIX remains our predominant or our priority indicator at this point, even more so than the dollar. All right. And of course, the NASDAQ is up, SPY is up, Dow is up. 100% does not surprise me in the least. Here's a good indicator that we may have capitulated. This is the NASDAQ 100 stocks above the 200-day moving average. Let's zoom out here to the weekly. And I said before in the past videos, every time we have hit these marks here, 16% basically and 7.5%, the market has capitulated. So we have reached the low point in the markets. And every time we have touched this, the markets have then reversed and gone back to the upside. Could this indicate that the markets have reached their low point? Because if we zoom in here on the daily, we're back above. We sank below this 16%, and now we are rising rapidly from here. All right. So next week, it looks like the buyers are going to start stepping in again. Again, crypto is right now acting differently, suspiciously different. All right. Because really crypto follows the broader markets and it's not doing so right now. So I think over the weekend, crypto will reach its low while the markets are closed out and shut down. And then on Tuesday, buyers will step back in. That's my hunch at the moment, guys. Bitcoin dominance chart doing exactly as expected. Wow, look at this. So it did break out of that bull flag right there, and it is almost touched our 47.05% resistance. I would almost consider this a touch, but I'm not going to consider it a touch yet because, as I said, I do expect Bitcoin over the course of the weekend to sell down and reach its marker, its target down here. And of course, if Bitcoin drops, alts tend to drop faster. In fact, let's just jump right over it. Let's go to my purple list here. And I've got this sorted by, these are the pumpers today. But most of this is just a sea of red, guys. This is just all red. And it, of course, alts exaggerate any move that Bitcoin makes to the downside. And so if Bitcoin continues its move down, then, of course, alts will suffer or incur worse losses. All right. So we have here for Bitcoin to reach that downside, we have 3 days and another 5.87% down. No problem. I think that's going to happen, guys. Okay, so let's close out. In conclusion here, guys, if you want to play this market, as I've said, you've got to play it according to this range. We were range bound the whole week. That's why I didn't bring out any new updates. It was just sideways action, basically between 29K and 30K. Now we're to the downside of 29K. You've got an hour and 26 minutes for this 4-hour candle to confirm a move to the downside. You could probably short here if you want. I would make the stop out at 29K. All right, I would stop out at 29K if I was shorting. I would short this thing, as I said, and you all can still see the chart, right? All the way down to 26.5 or 27. That would be your target down. At that point, I'd switch over and go long. And depending upon your risk tolerance, you can choose to leverage that. I think it's, from the way I see it, it's a pretty sure thing. All right. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm fairly confident that that's what it's looking like. I didn't even go over this, guys, but on the RSI here, you guys can still see that, right? We have collapse below that support as well. All right, indicating that we probably will go back into oversold territory over the course of these next 3 days while the markets are at rest. All right, the broader markets here in the US. All right, so watch this triangle, wait for that confirmation candle, and use only tight stops regardless of the direction that you are trading in, guys. All right, have a happy weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. All peace.